guys, hope you're doing well. So again, I'm back with another story. It's called Shadows of Survival, a story of a certain girl called Sarah. So this is it. After KCC exam had been released, Sarah sat down under a mango tree in her uncle's compound, blankly staring at her phone. Deep plus is all she could see. The grade was really mocking her. Actually, after the release of KCC exams, to some students it was beginning of a new life, but to Sarah, everything had fallen apart. This was actually too bad for her. Actually, Sarah's stories wasn't that of privilege or opportunity. She was the forgotten child of a man who had left behind a shattered family after their mother's death. Her father decided to marry another wife after their mother's death and denied Sarah's existence. Sarah ended up at the care of her uncle and aunt. That house was too small but with a lot of activities. Her aunt had three kids and she was a nurse working at night shifts. She could leave home every evening and all the activities were left at Sarah's care. That aunt was very strict and demanding, often belittling Sarah for any small mistake. And you girl, you should be grateful at least to have a roof, her aunt will say. But now her uncle made life unbearable. He was a man of few words, but his actions could shout. It started subtly, a lingering touch on her shoulder and a long glance. Sarah was only 15 years when all this escalated. While her aunt worked at night, he would corner her at the dim lighting little sitting room. And if by any chance you utter a word, no one will believe you. Her uncle will threaten her. Her nights were filled with a lot of helpless prayers and tears. It wasn't easy for her. Sarah endured all this in silence because he had no one to tell. At school, the teachers labeled her lazy because he could not manage all the workloads. Her classmates mocked her for her worn out uniform and constant fatigues. How could she explain that her nights were stolen and her mornings were burdened with a lot of house chores? Books became a distant priority. When other students studied at home, Sarah would be scrubbing floors or washing clothes for the entire family. If she dared to pick a book, her aunt will quarrel her. Do you expect my kids to eat your revision books or what? She could shout. This ridicule didn't stop at all. Whenever Sarah tried to tell anyone at school, she was met with disbelief. You're just looking for disbeliefs, and no one can believe you for this. Her head teacher once told her when she tried to explain her declining grade. This was so bad. When KCC approached, Sarah had already broken. She sat at the exam room with blank mind, like he could not remember anything. He had zero content, and her hope had faded away. And by the time the results were released, she already knew what to expect. The tension in the house was unbearable. When her aunt came home that evening, the phone call from the neighborhood had already informed her of her grade. Her aunt came in the room waving her phone in the air like a sword as he shouted, "You failed, you're a failure after everything we did for you. You've brought a lot of disgrace to our family. You've brought bad luck." Sarah opened her mouth to defend herself, but the words remained in her throat. Her uncle in her corner just avoided the eye contact, and her aunt's voice grew louder. "I can't let you stay in my house anymore. You're just bad influence to my kids. That night, Sarah sat at the same mango tree, clutching the few belongings she had managed to pack. Things weren't easy at all. She felt a lot of pain. But as tears streamed down her face, something shifted in her heart. She remembered what her mother used to tell her, stories of resilience and hope. She didn't know how or when, but she promised herself one day she will shed tears of joy and everything will be okay. Guys, and that's just the story for today. So next time I'll be coming with more. Please don't forget to like, to share, to follow, and all that. Bye.